Hey, what's going on, everyone? We are talking Sinners, directed by Mr. Ryan Coogler. This is our spoilers review, round three. Miss Kimberly, what did you think about the film?
Hey Brandon, what's up? Man, it was a well-balanced gumbo.
Mm.
It was well-balanced gumbo. It had a lot. It had your andouille sausage in there. It had some crab legs in there. Had some good hearty rice. I was feeling it from start to finish, and it was so many different things that went well together. And I think with any other director that maybe had a different vision, it might have been like, okay, what are you? Are you a comedy? Are you a musical? Are you a horror? Is this a historical piece? Like, what are you? But it wasn't. It was like, okay, 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 okay. It just was well balanced gumbo. And it had some spice that I was not expecting. So this was some gumbo right here.
Nice.
That's what I feel.
I like that. I really wasn't expecting you to say gumbo. You're making me hungry right now. I haven't had a nice
Get that okra. Gotta get that okra.
yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've had a plate. And I don't even know if it's called a plate. It's been that long. Real talk. It's been
A
over
bowl,
eight
buddy. It's a
years. There you go.
bowl.
There you go. So
Get that bowl.
I want some. Now I saw this originally on Monday, and I literally just got back from the theater, so I saw this the second time. And the first time I saw it, it was not it was Limax. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where they say the screen is the real IMAX ratio. It's really just kind of a blown up image, half IMAX, not really. But the second time that I saw the
Limax.
film, it was the real deal. It wasn't even the 65 millimeter. It was a 70 millimeter. And the reason why I wanted to see it again is I think there was some points and plot points that I missed, some story arcs, characters, and I just wanted to know if I would feel different or the same the second time around. And I will say that most of my feelings the first time are confirmed. I enjoyed what I liked the first time even more the second time. And, there were some things that I did appreciate the second time around that I don't want to just say flew over my head, but I just kind of looked at it in a different way this time. And I was like, yeah, okay, I know what Ryan Coogler was trying to do there. I see his perspective, and I'll go ahead and check that off the box of a pass or a succeed. So my rating hasn't changed too much, but I mean, this is still an enjoyable film overall. And I think I'm in the minority as far as my opinion, because a lot of people are just walking out saying that they absolutely love this. This is a masterpiece, and this is the best film that they've seen in 2025, which is not really saying much, or the best film they've seen in the past 5 years, or one of Coogler's best. I really did enjoy it, but just not as much as everyone else, and that's fine.
Really?
That's fine. I mean,
Okay.
it's still a
Okay.
passing grade. Do you know what I rated it the first? I don't know if you saw my non-spoiler review or
No,
anything
I
like
wanted
that.
to come in fresh. I like to come
Okay.
in with you. I purposely don't watch whatever I know we're going to talk about. I don't watch it because I like you and I to have that fresh energy. So no, I actually do not know what you think of it
But yeah,
just
how?
yet.
What
So
was
this is
your okay?
interesting.
What was your anticipation level like? Was it high or mediocre?
Actually, it was pretty high because as of late, I mean, Jordan Peele is pretty much the only black director that's been tackling horror, and especially horror with a black cast. I mean, he surprised us, and then in all the new features he's had under the genre, he has delivered over and over and over. And so for me, my expectations were high, and I support it. I don't think it was like in unhealthy competition, but I was like, hey, Ryan Coogler's getting into the horror space. If another black director is going to get into the horror space, I'm always open for the new kid on the block. But I was like, Ryan Coogler, you're going to do horror?
Yeah.
Okay. Then and that very very
So I don't know if you can.
kind of like, okay, what are we going to do here?
Okay, my bad. I kind of missed the but last 5 or 10 seconds of what you said because of the connection, but we're gonna make the best of it. Let me ask you this: if you can hear me, what was your favorite part of the movie? Or what was your favorite aspect? And now you're
You
muted.
know, oh, I'm sorry. Did I think I froze a little bit. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Cool. One of my favorite aspects of there's so many to choose from because you had the musical side, which that scene in the juke joint, man, I know we're gonna get into that. Um, there was the musical side, there was the period piece. I loved seeing Michael B. Jordan in a period piece. I
Hmm.
think you and I saw some set photos last year, and when we had no idea what the film was about, we just knew Ryan and Michael B. Jordan were new together, and I remember us seeing being like, okay, is this from the 20s? Like, yeah, I think it's from the 20s. So, I thought it was really great to see Michael B. Jordan in a period piece. So there are so many different components that I loved, but I do have to say I like the period piece. I like I it feel whenever I see a black cast doing a period piece, it feels like I'm going back into stories that I was told growing up and getting
Okay.
an up look at what my great grandmother used to talk about how life was when she was young and before my grandmother was born and when she was a girl. I feel this like nostalgic, like I've never been there, but I've been there. You know what I mean? Like because we all have that beautiful oral history of our own personal history, whatever your culture may be. And so I feel like it was kind of a peek into because my people come by way of Ohio and Arkansas, not
Hmm.
necessarily Mississippi, but I felt like this is very similar to what my great grandmothers used to talk about. So I love the period piece. I love the clothes. I love, um, there were sharecroppers. I like those pieces so much. So that just felt very like comfortable and very at home for me.
I got you.
But the horror, I gotta say, the horror was on point though. Don't get me wrong, the horror was on point.
Okay, we definitely gonna be talking about that because
Mhm.
that's not my favorite genre, but I did like it here. But something you said as far as the period piece is concerned, and I'm connecting that with the story. Well, first, I absolutely love the composition of this film, the sound, the music, all of that. I thought that was beautiful. I thought the IMAX
Yeah.
ratio was lovely, and all the cinematography. I like this movie more from a technical standpoint than anything else, from story or characters. But I did appreciate the period piece aspect of it too, and how they do tell horror stories of how life was for them coming up. They're just trying to make it, smoke and stack and smoke.
Mhm.
And they're in Mississippi. Things are not working out. Jim Crow South. They try to go up to Chicago, and they had a conversation with Sammy, just saying, "Hey, I heard it's great up there in Chicago. Negroes can just run free." And he's like, "There's nothing different in Chicago. It's the same thing except for tall buildings. That's why we came back home, and we want, we say if we're gonna be treated the same, at least let me do it in a place where I'm more familiar and I can, hustle a little bit and make some money." So I did like that. And the reason why I say that is the first time I saw the movie, I didn't appreciate the story as much, but I do a bit more this second time around. Um, Also tying that in with Delroy Lindo's character, Slim. I think
Oh,
this
I
is,
love him.
I
Man, I
did.
love him so Delta Slim.
Delta Slim. I didn't the first time. I was a bit frustrated because when they were riding down in the cotton field, I couldn't understand what he was saying for half of his story, other than the end where it was like, okay, he was lynched in the house and they, chopped off his manhood. But
Oh, yeah.
while he was saying that, so mind you, I could understand him better the second time around. But while he was saying that, you can hear the audio of the man being tortured. And even though it was gruesome and just really difficult to hear, it's something that I did appreciate. and kind of help with that storytelling that you spoke of. Like, when we're in this time, I feel like I'm being told stories of a little child growing up. Now, I never heard horror stories like that growing up as a child, but just storytelling in itself, I like how that was, that line of exposition of that story of, how that was delivered to us, as audience members. Again, just something I didn't appreciate the first time
Yeah.
around, but I did the second time around. So, I really did like that.
Good.
But I gotta say, Kim, the first act of the movie kind of drug for me. I thought I would
It
feel
was
different.
slow, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I would feel different the second time around, but I felt the same. At the exact same times, I started shifting in my seat, kind of sighing heavily, breathing heavily, like, all right, when we're gonna get to the vampires. And I will say that one scene was when Smoke went and tried to recruit Annie, Wumi Masaku's character. I love her. I really do. She's a great actress. When I see her in a trailer, I get excited. And of course, I like Michael B. Jordan. Honestly, don't feel like they had any chemistry on screen. To me,
I don't
I
think they did either.
I love her. I swear to God, I did not know the relationship until they started having sex and she grabbed his privates. I was like, okay, is this his sister? Is this his mother, his auntie? Oh no, they're getting it on. They've been lovers. Now, I I know I'm saying a lot, and let me cough real quick. Hold on. Excuse me. Not only did I not see any actually, let me stop there. I'll let you respond because I know I said a lot. Do you agree or disagree with anything I just said? Because I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
But
No, that's okay. No, that's what you love about movies, right? No, I feel you. I do agree that the first half it drug on a little bit. I have to address something that I've heard so many people talk about, which is dude, trailers. What are we doing?
yeah, yeah,
There was so much revealed in the trailer. It gave it had the opposite effect in the theater, where instead of being surprised by things, sorry if I froze.
keep talking, keep talking.
So instead of being surprised by things, I was waiting for certain things to happen.
That sucks.
And I don't want to, I'm sure creating trailers can be hard. They may have deadlines. I don't want to bring anyone down in their job, but I do have to say, to the trailer companies, I know they're contracted out. They're not necessarily directly under the studios, but the studios need to do a better job with who they're hiring and those that are creating the trailers. There needs to be more dialogue between the studios and these companies and maybe third parties, just like you go to screeners. I'm sure you've done it, and many of the viewers, Brandon, have done it, where you screen a movie. There's people who saw Thunderbolts last year, and when they saw it, you fill out a survey and your opinions as finishing touch movie. There needs to be more of that with trailers, because I think the reason the first half felt so slow is because I saw so much in the trailers. I was like, "Where's this?
Right.
And where's this? And
Exactly.
where's
Okay.
this?"
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just got to put
Yeah.
that on the table. That's a huge frustration as a movie lover. I got to
I
get
give you
that
that.
off my chest.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, Revealed way too much, but I did feel like I felt that it was slow, but I also felt like I like that I'm getting more history. I like that I'm discovering how their dad died and that one of the brothers, killed their dad. I like that I'm discovering the really. It kind of, at some points, it felt a little bit like Eve's Bayou to me.
Mm.
It was just like watching people living in this time. And you got to see, how scheming the Smokestack brothers were. I know it was hilarious right outside the store when he shot the guy. It was like, look, I'm a smokestack brother. Like, I can't just leave you standing. Like, you know what it is. Um, uh, but I did think that when he was meeting up with his wife, I lost a child, and that created a separation. I too was like, okay, somebody died, obviously, but I did not get right off the bat, just like you. I didn't get off the bat that that was his wife.
Yeah,
until
yeah.
he said, "I miss
I'm sorry, I missed that last part you
you."
said. I said it again after you said I didn't get. I didn't know that was his wife until what?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Say that last part again. You said
Did
you
I
didn't know that was his wife until what?
I didn't know that was his wife until, he said, "I miss you."
Okay,
You know,
okay,
"I miss
okay.
you, I love you." I did not know, and I didn't feel that they had a strong chemistry at all. I
Yeah,
really didn't.
I and I'm gonna get to this in a second later. Well, no, I'll talk about it now. Just like w- I have a non spoiler review, and this is round 3 of my spoilers, so I'm jumping around, and that's fine. You got 4 videos now total to get all my thoughts. When they were dying at the end, I didn't feel anything for anybody. I wasn't like, damn, they got him. Oh, wait, I wanted them to survive. Like, and going back to Wumi and Smoke, when he killed
Mhm.
her, and I was just like, oh, he lost his baby, he lost his sweetheart, his Care Bear. I was just like, huh, okay, and they kind of rushed to that scene anyway. But the thing is though, I didn't really care. I didn't have a disdain for any of the characters. But I cannot say that I was rooting for them or I liked them up until one point. So when we have this whole first act, and Smoke and Stack are going around trying to recruit everybody for this grand opening of this juke joint, I was just like, okay, on to the next. I wasn't just saying, okay, that was a nice backstory right there. I like this introduction. I can't wait to see them come back around later on in the film. I didn't feel that way for any of the characters. The only time I felt for the characters was when the crap hit the fan and the Asian guy came back like, hey, babe, let's go out to the car. I have it warmed up for you. And then Remy came back, the lead vampire, Stat came back, and they was going one by one trying to convince the people that were still alive to let the vampires in or come outside, like let us in, embrace this life of sin. That was like, you can't build in this world. You did with slavery, you did with the Klan. If you build something, you have money, the white supremacists, they just gonna come and take it. When the lead vampire started speaking Chinese, like, hey, we're gonna go
Yeah.
back to the store and get Lisa. I even know how you get licked. And she was like, you mother effer, da 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 da. And then they went to character to character to character with these personal stories that will trigger
Mhm.
you. That's when I was like, damn, and going to the title of the movie, Sinners, and I'm just gonna be
Mhm.
honest, we've all sinned. We all have fallen short of the glory of God. Everybody has in the history of existence has sinned, and we shouldn't sin. And it's tempting. It's tempting. Like, oh, I know I shouldn't lust. I know I shouldn't feel this way, and envy and jealousy and all this. And we in one corner, we can invite God in our house, but in another, we can invite Satan in, and bring our world down. And it can be tempting. And I just like how it was tempting for each of those characters right there. Stack was speaking to his brother, and on and so forth. You seen the film. I did appreciate that right there. That's when I started caring about the characters, and I thought this was dope. And the title actually just really explained itself in the film. Yeah, you know. So I'm just kind of frustrated that this movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes. The first act drug, but I didn't care about the characters until this brief moment, in the middle
Was
or the
it 2
beginning
hours
of the
and
third
17
act. 2 hours and 17 minutes, yes, ma'am. That includes all the credits,
Oh.
but yes.
Oh, I thought it was less than that. Oh, um, yeah, I mean, I do if there were any areas where I feel like the film could have improved, I do think incorporating the vampire element a little bit earlier on, um, would've would've helped. Like, maybe in the daytime, the lovely Asian couple, uh,
Man.
you
Yeah, that
know,
connect that connect that connection is
I would
going in and out.
but I think there could have been some improvement.
I got you.
Oh,
Um,
sorry, there we go. I do feel like there could have been some improvement with the vampire bringing them earlier, a little bit earlier, having some people get bitten earlier, and kind of trying to get their way in the building and then dealing with that. Because it was kind of like, okay, story, 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 vampire. I just in the theater, I thought it flowed well. But now when you bring up some things, I'm like, huh, okay, that could have improved a little bit more. I did feel for Delta Slim when the vampires got him, and it was definitely one of those. My theater was awesome. It was one of those girl, what are you doing kind of theater. A lot of people yelling at the scream, which I
wait, wait,
love.
wait,
Um,
in happiness or frustration?
no, you know when we get together at a horror movie and we're like, girl, don't open the door.
Oh, okay, my fault. I
Are you
misunderstood you.
sure? So
Okay.
a lot of that frustration, and when Delta Slim, cut himself and was gonna sacrifice himself, there was
Yes,
an overwhelming, "No,
that was
come
stupid.
on," in the
That was
theater.
dumb.
Everyone felt like, "Oh man," like, because everyone really loved that character, especially when, they were testing each other and eating the garlic, and he was kinda choking on it,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
that was like, oh shoot, like that scene I loved because I was like, somebody might be in here, like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
everyone's acting a little bit funny. And by the way, Delta Slim, that character was such lovely comic relief, and Omar Benson Miller, who plays Cornbread, the big dude, he's another one of those actors who we've seen him so many times,
Right.
and I like him. When he was great, great comic relief. There were some really, really funny moments in this movie,
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
which I love. But yeah, Delta Sim getting that hurt my feelings. I felt that one. I
But
felt that a lot.
the thing is, when you say everybody was oohing and ahhing with Delta Slim, I was doing that in frustration because I just thought that was dumb for him just to cut his wrist and be like, "Hey, come and get me." He cuts one wrist and then holds the knife in the other one, but doesn't attempt to stab anybody. I don't know why he didn't try to escape upstairs with anyone else. And if you're going to be a sacrificial lamb, try to take as many vampires out with you before you go. I didn't. I was
Right?
frustrated with that. So
That
that's
part, yeah.
just another reason why I'm just not in love with this movie like that, and I want to. And I was also saying earlier how I did not sense the chemistry between Annie and Stack. However, I did towards the end where he was dying, and right
Mhm,
before he shot the white supremacist Klan's Grand Dragon member, she was breastfeeding, and he handed her the baby.
mhm.
At that point, I cared. I felt their relationship and how much they love each other. And also, right a few seconds before that, when Sammy left, before he set up the ambush, he was trying to roll up the joint or roll up the cigar,
Oh,
and he
yeah,
was
he sure did.
shaking, and he was
Yeah.
reminiscing, going back and looking at the whole setup of that night or
Mhm.
the few hours prior of them, bringing in the food and cooking and
Yeah.
setting, putting the signs together, and also just him kind of imagining a world outside of all this BS. That's when I started to care about the characters and their relationships. But it was the end of the freaking movie. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
would have
like,
liked to see that set up earlier on.
yeah, I mean, I just wanted these emotions earlier on. And again, I didn't feel this way towards the end of the movie the first time around I saw it. It was only the second where, I did appreciate it more. Even the mid credit scene, but we'll talk about that
Mm.
a little later. But yeah, that first act, it just, the pacing was off a bit, and yeah, the film really picked up right after Annie and Stack had sex, happy time.
Mhm.
That's where we got. Well, it wasn't the first IMAX image, but they was on the road. My screen, my
That was
theater,
cool.
the screen expanded, and that's where Jack
Oh,
O'Connell showed up as Ramek. With the vampire. music, doom, doom, doom,
Yeah,
doom. That's where it got good for me. So
yeah,
I just had to get that
yeah. I
off.
like I like how he came on the scene.
I do
And
too.
I like the incorporation of different cultures and how the indigenous people um, would have an idea of what that was because I like folklore. I'm a fan of folklore. I
Yes.
like where stories originated and my grandmama says that a vampire is really a person whose soul gets stuck in a jar. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like I like stories like that, and so I loved that he incorporated the indigenous people
Yes.
because they probably had some mojo, and I know there was some some hoodoo in there, but I mean, as I had a lot of people asking me when I told them I was going to see the film, and they were like, "Let me know if it's sacrilegious. Like, let me know," because a lot of people were kind of afraid to, especially the black community.
I
You
was just
got
about to, yeah, black people.
a lot of believers, a lot of Christians, and we don't mess with that hoodoo baby. Like some people do, but a lot of people of Christian faith were like, "Look, I'm down with Ryan Coogler, I'm down with Michael B. Jordan, but you got me at Sinners. Like I don't know, like let me know." So a lot of people were telling me to report back, and so I was like, "Look, there was nothing offensive to the cross, but." It's a vampire film, and it's down in the Delta, like it's down in Mississippi in the 20s. You're gonna see some hoodoo, like especially if this took place in Louisiana, you're definitely gonna see some voodoo hoodoo in there. So I don't think it was sacrilegious. It's just historically people did that stuff. So that's what I took it as yeah, this is a pretty historical. I know some friends whose grandmamas was shaking some chicken feet and throwing them on the thing to see what they told them. Like so historical. It wasn't sacrilegious. I'm really grateful it didn't mess with the cross in any sort of
Yeah.
disrespectful way.
Yeah.
I'm really glad about that because some vampire movies, I'm like, okay, excuse me, I'm down for a vampire movie, but they do something.
Yeah. I don't know if you're still there, but believe what I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with this. But believe whatever you want to believe. That's my belief. But if you're gonna have an opinion or feelings, just try to make sure it's
Overall,
informed. Oh, can you hear me?
well,
This connection is not the best right now. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you can hear me, but I was gonna say, just have an informed opinion about that hoodoo. A lot of people misunderstand what it is, and if you do know what it is and it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. But there's just a large misconception about it. So, whatever. Ludwig Gorson, I know you know the name.
yes,
Kim, the music was the best part. Like we need to get this. They need to have a live performance of what they did because I would be there front row with my feet kicked up. Ooh, it was
man, oh
so
man,
good. It was so good. It was so
it
good.
was so good, and I love that Ryan Coogler, like early on in his career, it's like Scorsese, and it's like, you know, um, directors that, Robert Zemeckis or Spielberg, they have their composers and they have their actors that it's like if you want one of my films, these ingredients have to come with it. And I love that. Like I was reading on watching a video on how Ryan Coogler and Ludwig Göransson met in the dorms, like at
Mm,
USC, and how they've been friends for that long. And you can feel it, like it's just simpatico the way they go together, the way Ludwig brought in the blues. So
mhm.
I like the music. You just felt the music. It wasn't like, "Oh, this sounds good." It was like, "Oh, I'm
Man,
in this.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
feeling this completely through my
Yes,
body." Like,
yes.
and having Buddy Guy in there was just such a cool, interesting it. The music that I probably about to ask me about that musical scene, but I would like to know what you think, Brandon, about the scene with just the addition of music time.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, your boy, Mr. Miles Canton, Catton, right here. Is that the scene you was talking about? I don't know. This is his debut for everything, by the way. He's a singer, performer. He's never done anything before. Never showed up in a TV show. Never showed up in a movie. So this is his debut. And the scene we're talking about the music, his scene to where he introduced himself in a juke joint and blew the roof on fire. That was my favorite at the whole scene, at the whole movie. Absolutely loved it. They killed it right there. Ryan and Ludwig and Ryan. That was the highlight for me. All in IMAX as well. I mean, we got so much history and culture across the world. Like there was even a point where he went to all four quadrants of the United States, like north, south, east, and west, as far as the music is concerned. Like I could have at least two West Side. We had like the South, like with not I'm finna say Tell the Club Up Thugs. Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, To the Windows, to the Wall. There's a
Oh
chick
yeah.
twerking. We got some Ice Cube, West Coast Seawalk. I thought Snoop and Dr. Dre was about to come through there as well. We got somebody sounding like Biggie. But when they went around the country and when they got to the West Side, they went even further east to Asia and showed the two Asian ladies dancing. Then went back. But it was all over the place. I was bobbing my head hard. I thought I was gonna break my neck like both times I saw this. I mean, I was jamming throughout the whole movie, but that right there, I wish I had my remote so I can press pause in the theater and take it back and rewind it and watch it again. It was just that amazing to
Yes.
me. So yeah, they
The
knocked that
two
out the
women
park.
sitting next to me, we were both like, I was like, let me look around and see how people reacted. And everyone was just like, had their mouth kind of open and was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what this is, but
Yeah.
okay. Hey, hey,
Yeah,
hey, hey.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
1960, 2010,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that was such a transcendent scene because it was so true. It's like when the blues, because I think it started, I was like, wait, is that an African man sitting next to him? I was like, oh, it's a vampire.
Yeah.
But it was just like, because I like the when in the beginning when they were talking about the guitar and the power that it has to summon spirits, and I was like, oh, now we're getting into some ancestor worship. Like I don't know, but honestly, it's true in a way of like the energy. Like you don't have the blues without having African music, and you don't
Mhm.
have hip hop without having the blues. You definitely don't have R&B. But also they had the beautiful Asian dancers, the Indian dancers, and it's like you really don't have music today, or you don't have music in the future. They had that futuristic guy that was from probably the year 2063 or something. I thought the way they did that scene, Brandon, was so beautiful because it's like, I don't know if you're here for the vampires, I don't know if you're here for Michael B. Jordan, but anybody that's ever been affected by music will connect to that scene. Anyone, whether it's Irish music, because they had some Irish music in there, I thought that was mad cool. Anyone who's ever listened to a song and thought this song wouldn't exist without this and without this and without the past. I thought as a just a music lover, Brandon, that scene just gave me goosebumps, and the whole theater was just in awe.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to Ryan Coogler. That scene was magical and
Mhm.
beautiful, and that scene really made the movie, I think, for a lot of people,
Oh
and
yeah.
that yeah, I
Oh
thought that
yeah.
was really that was just amazing, and you know what, Brandon? I have to say, he's very brave. Ryan Coogler's brave because it's brave to take on horror as a black filmmaker. It's brave to take on horror in a black film, but that scene was a real risk. Can you imagine and being like, okay, now we're gonna bring someone that looks like Will I Am, and then we're gonna, go back to the past. Like that's a gutsy thing
Yeah.
to do because you could lose people altogether. You couldn't even
I thought
erase. So
that was
that was
George
brave.
Clinton at the beginning. Like one of the first. I thought that I don't know if you know who George Clinton is, but that's what I thought it was.
Oh, tell me, baby.
Man, this could well say it again because you kind of frozen right now, so I can't really make out what you're saying. This sucks. Say okay, go ahead. What was your okay? You good now? So I
So
said George.
sorry. I was saying, yes, I know who George Clinton is.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Got cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
honey.
yeah. I thought I want to go back just to go see that scene again. But also, you was talking about the blues, and you can't have that without black people or Africa. It was a comment that Remick made. He was like, "Yeah, we love the music. We're a fan of blues, but either we don't or they don't like the people that create it." And I thought that was pretty powerful as well. Just kind of like a read between the lines of us knowing our worth. 'Cause some of us do, some of us don't. What did you think about Haley Steinfeld?
Oh man, I thought the casting director hit the nail on the head because
Mary.
what was that movie years ago with Emma Stone where she was supposed to be a Hawaiian, a native um I love that we didn't have that situation because I got to tell you when I saw True Grit and I first saw Haley Steinfeld years and years ago in that great western True Grit. I
I forgot
remember
about that.
saying to my mom, I remember saying to my mom, somebody black in her family.
Uh,
Either she knows it or she
uh-huh.
doesn't, but somebody is. I thought the casting was on point because she looked like she had a mixed grandfather.
Yeah,
Haley
yeah.
Steinfeld looks like somebody in her family could be black. She doesn't look directly mixed, but the casting was perfect because she looks like somebody who somebody's daddy was black. And so I thought the casting was on point that she played passing. I know you and I have talked about how Rebecca Hall is black. She's passing. There's a lot of people in Hollywood. You're like, oh, wait a minute, wait, who? What? Who's your granddaddy? What? But very good casting. I'm really glad it wasn't like Dakota Fanning. It's like my dad's black. I'm really glad that they didn't do something crazy like that. I really liked her in this role. It was
Oh, we lost her again. But Haley Steinfeld is dope. And if Kimberly comes back, we're gonna talk about it some more. Okay, there we go. I can
okay. I'm so sorry about that. It was a saucy film. And
yeah.
Haley Steinfeld, I was like, okay, grown lady, because the last time I saw her, she was, wielding a bow and arrow. So the film was very grown, uh,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
which I don't think we've gotten a lot from Ryan Coogler. It was spicy, but
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld was gorgeous in it, and I think she played a role really well. And I did feel the chemistry between her and Michael B. Jordan for sure.
I will give you that. I will give you that. And it's interesting that I felt the chemistry more between them, and that's kind of like, forbidden. They say, "Oh, stay away from the white women, they'll get you in trouble," and end
Yeah,
up
he
turning
was
them into a
like, "Don't come
vampire.
to this." Yeah, he was saying, "Don't come to the joint. Like, you're gonna get us burned down. Like, the
Yeah.
last thing we need is for anybody to walk by and see a white girl coming in here."
Yeah. And
Like,
I
you
just
know?
yeah, I didn't feel that for I mean, I felt the chemistry between Stack and Mary, but not Annie and Smoke. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I do know. That's how. Anyway, I know what I'm trying to say. However, I did like Remick here. I spoke about him briefly. I thought he was pretty cool. Every time he popped up, Sammy, I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
badass. He was a nice villain with charm.
Yes.
I like his negotiating skills. When he was trying to come into the juke joint. Oh, you don't have to do that,
Yeah.
sir.
That was a
We're
funny
gonna be on our
scene.
way. Yeah, I liked all that. I did. But let me ask you more about the plot. It turns out, so I complained earlier that I didn't care about the characters until the end of the movie, and those scenes I listed. Also, with the plot or the story, I thought it could have been stronger. It turns out that Sammy was the MacGuffin. He was the cube, he was the Allspark, he was the Infinity Stones that a side has to find to win the contest and seize the day. Because apparently, Remick, the vampire, they have been trapped on this earth, on land, and they either want to go back to hell or see their friends, and there's no way they can get there. So they're using Sammy or his spirit as a vessel to for transportation. I don't know. I don't know why they waited for to the very end of the movie to reveal that as well. Now, we probably could have read between the lines because the scene opened with him alone going to his father in church and he's all beat up, and then we go back like 24 hours. And I don't know if I'm making sense to you right now, but that was revealed too late in the movie for me, that Sammy was the chosen one, and that, you know, for I mean, up until that point, I don't know. I guess Remick just wanted to turn people into vampires. Okay, but why? What is your end goal? They could have explained it earlier when they had the Native American vampire hunters. I wanted to see more of what that's about in that lore. They could have had a whole exposition dump right there. Well, why are you looking? Well, they're vampires and they're looking for this person because if they do find this person, they're gonna release Lamagra, the vampire demon god, and he's gonna come and take over the whole world. I'm not saying this had to be in like a comic book movie, and if y'all know what I'm talking about, I got that plot from Blade. You know that I don't. It was Stephen Dorff. He was trying to, you know, release Lamagra. But I'm just saying that plot point of Sammy being, you know, at the end, right before all of the vampires got burnt up, and he, you know, got hit in the head with the banjo or the guitar, and you know he was. I don't even know how he was taking so long to bottom right there. He kept just stroking his hair like, yes, I'm baptizing you, dumping you in the water. Like, will you kill him already? I know I'm saying a lot, but am I making any sense? Do you agree or disagree with what I just said?
I actually did. No, I agree. I was trying to figure out because he said in the beginning.
Hold on, when you come back, just start just start from the beginning with your response, because you're still. I'll give you a thumbs up when you're back, but you're still frozen right now. It's interesting. At least you're not frozen with your face looking like this, like, wow. At least it's a good image, but you know, sometimes there we go. I don't know if you get.
When your computer freezes, why can't you just be in a complimentary? Why does it have to freeze like that?
I don't know, but it's all
I'm back.
good.
I don't
You're
know
back.
what's happening, you guys. I am so frustrated. I'm so sorry. But I was gonna say in the beginning when they were at the juke joint, and he said something about wanting him for his guitar skills and like wanting his music. Like, I want your
Hmm.
music. I would like a little more exhibition. It's like, does your power get fed by the strum of a guitar?
Yeah.
Like, do the notes just fly into the air and then give you power? I was like, what is it? And then I was thinking the guitar itself had something special about it. Because remember when he got him in the head with the guitar and bashed him, it made him start smoking.
Hmm.
Like, this was before they started coming in. So I was wondering because his dad had the guitar in his church. I was like, is the guitar holy? Did they use it in praise and worship so much that it's carrying the spirit of God? Because the spirit is strong.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I was wondering, like, what is it about this guitar that has this power? I feel like it would have been nice if they did explain that a little bit more because I was confused. I was like, is it the music that has the power? Like are you developing a band and you just need a
Wow.
guitarist? Like, why do you
That's
want
hilarious.
him? Like, I didn't feel like they explained that very well.
Agreed. 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 Y'all let us know what y'all think in the comment section below. You can talk about it whatever you want that I left out, but I do want to know, how did you feel about the mid credit scene? And while we're waiting for Kim to come back, the first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell is this? I still feel that way. I still feel that it's pointless. However, I do appreciate the end of the mid credit scene a bit more because as what is her name? As Stack, and was it Mary? Is that what Haley Steinfeld's character's name is?
Yeah, she played me.
Mary.
Yeah.
Okay. As Stack and Mary are walking out, Sammy, the older version of Sammy, just like, you know what? About once a week, I wake up and have an episode or a nightmare or reimagining of that night. He said, "Does that ever happen to you?" And he was like, "Actually, that was the best day of my life because that was the last time I seen my brother, and that was the last time I seen the sun." And I was like, "Damn,
Mm,
that's what's up right there." You know what I'm saying? That's cool. I
I like
still
that scene.
I still feel it's pointless that they showed up. Like, hey, we can't kill you, but we wanted to buy you drinks. Here's $200. I don't know. What am I missing, Kim?
Yeah.
What was your thoughts? Am I
No,
tripping?
no, you're not tripping at all. I actually like that that happened. God, what vampire movie did that happen in? Where they thought some was it Interview with the Vampire? Well, that was a lot of it, but it kind of reminded me of Interview with the Vampire when you're going back from ancient times to present times. I like that he did that in the scene because at first I was like, "Why are you telling me that it's 1992?" And I was like, "Oh, it's cool. Like he lived." But when they walked in, I was like, "Oh, man." I like that jaw-dropping moment. I just felt like I would have appreciated it more if, like, as the place was closing up, they came in and just had a really quick scene. But for them to stop and the guitar and have a conversation, that was too much. Just come by, like, walk past him and see, like, "Oh my god, it's you." And then and, like, have that really I thought that was a cool scene.
I was closing out the film. So, what are your final thoughts, ma'am? What get any if there's anything that you want to get off your chest that that we didn't talk about. Let's hear it.
Final thoughts on the film. I I love that we're entering getting into an era. I don't get me wrong, I love my Marvel, I love my DC, but I love that we're getting back into an era of original scripts. This is so different. And with black films, I love that we only saw the Klansmen like pretty much at the very, very end. I love that this wasn't racism. I love that this wasn't just drowned in race porn. I'm really happy about that. You know what I'm saying? Whenever it's something with black folks in the 1920s, I mean, it's part of our history, but we don't always have to be lynching. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to just see a good vampire film. Like, I like that he had a good proportion of that, a good ratio of that. And I like the way it ended. I really like that he took a lot of risk, Brandon. I really feel like Ryan Coogler was very brave in doing a black vampire film. Like last time I saw this was Vampire in Brooklyn with Angela
Hmm.
Bassett and Eddie Murphy. Come on, I like that it's not just Jordan Peele, which don't get me wrong, love Jordan Peele, but I love that Ryan Coogler's getting into the space and going, let me see what I can do with some horror and some vampires. I like that it was such an original vampire story. Um, I just love that this was brave. That musical scene was something I'd never seen before and so brave. There are some kinks in it, I give it a 9 to 10 because there was some flow, but I think it's due to the fact that he took so many risks. And I do feel like it was more well balanced than it wasn't. I do feel like it was not disjointed. I've seen films with a much simpler plot that was way more disjointed. And here, it was kinda complicated. He did a lot of different things, um, and I felt like this is a good balance. I felt like I got a lot on my plate. I thought the casting was great. I didn't think the chemistry between Stack and Annie was wonderful. That's the only thing about the casting I didn't love. But before we close out, can we just give, the young man Miles Canton. Can
Hmm.
we just give him a round of applause? It was this young man's first movie.
Sorry.
Miles Canton. Yes, yes. His first movie. And my last final thought about that young man, Brandon, is that even though Michael B. Jordan, obviously he's the star, this didn't feel like Michael B. Jordan and everybody else. It
True.
didn't feel like
True.
that. It was a good ensemble cast, and it was cool that was a great ensemble, with a lot of newcomers and up and comers. You know, besides Delroy Lindo and Omar Benson Miller, everyone else is relatively new, and especially the young man that was the lead as Sammy, his first film, and it was almost more about him than it was about the Smokestack twins. And so I got to give it to Ryan Coogler for creating a balanced ensemble where the star didn't take up the screen, didn't take up the time. We were on Sammy for a lot. You know, there was a lot where I was like, okay, where's Michael B. Jordan? But I liked it. I liked that it was well balanced. So I end my review the way I started it. Again, a well balanced gumbo. It has some spice. It has some of the language, some of the getting it on. I was like, what are you doing? But it had a lot of meat there. It had a lot of soul there. And
Oh, dang. All right. Well, we almost made it. Kim, if you can hear me, I was trying to get a clarification on your rating. I gave it a 7 initially, then I changed it to a 7.5. But I think you said it was a 9 out of. Do you give it a 9 out of 10? Is that what you said? A 9? You can't hear me? 9 out
I
of 10.
did.
Okay, cool. 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Well, guys, make sure y'all subscribe to Kimberly's channel. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Check out all my other reviews. Check out Spoilers Review Part 1, Part 2, non-spoiler, you know, everything we got going over here. Godfather of Harlem, all that good stuff, Well, guys, we just want to thank you again for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, that's Kim, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time. Subscribe.